Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Operation IELTS. This is extremely exciting for me. This is the first IELTS Clinic that I am hosting on this page. A couple of weeks back, I put a message out and said, anyone who wants some help, anyone who has any questions, please send them to me. And I received quite a few. And so the first one that I received was from a lady called Stacey. And she said, how can I prepare for Writing Task 1 Academic? And there's lots of people who struggle with this question because it is quite challenging. So I put together 5 pointers, 5 pieces of advice that I think will be very useful for Stacey and also for anyone else who is preparing for Writing Task 1. So let's have a look at the first one. It says, you have to know what the examiner is looking for. What does that mean? That means that when you finish watching this video, if you haven't done already, you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in IELTS Writing Task 1 band descriptors. And then you're going to find about 2 or 3 different PDF documents, usually on the IELTS Australia website or the British Council website or something like that. And you will find the official document, which is released by the IELTS exam, which is a simplified version of the marking scheme that examiners use to give you your grade. And on there, you will find 4 very, very important criteria that the examiner is looking for when they mark your paper. And they are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammatical range and accuracy. So these are the things that the examiner will look for when they are marking your paper. Now, we can't go into those in much more detail at this moment in time. Maybe we'll do that in a future video. But by reading through those band descriptors, it will give you a much better picture of what you have to do when you go into the exam. Now, the second thing that you should do is you need to learn how to analyze graphs and tables, because the information in IELTS Writing Task 1 will be presented in a graph or in a table or in a chart or sometimes in an image of a process. And you need to know how to identify the most important information in those graphs or tables. Now, how do you do that? Well, you do it through practice. But one thing that you have to be very careful about is the quality of resources that you're using when you are preparing for the IELTS exam. Now, the IELTS exam is so popular, so important in this day and age, that if you go onto Google and type in IELTS Writing Task 1, you're going to find thousands upon thousands upon thousands of pages that are made by people who are trying to help you. But the problem with some of them is, with the utmost respect, that they're not using authentic materials. They're not using reliable resources. And sometimes people make their own graphs, they make their own tables, and then they present those as a possible Writing Task 1 style question. And what that does is that confuses people, because there are only certain types of graphs and certain types of tables that will be used in Writing Task 1. And the most reliable advice that I can give you is that you should try to use the authentic materials released by Cambridge or released by other reputable publishers, because they will help you to get to grips with exactly what Writing Task 1 will offer you. Now, of course, they can be very expensive, and sometimes it's easier to use the online videos and online resources. So, of course, if it's not possible, then do what you can. But if you do have the money and you can make that investment, try to get hold of one of the IELTS past paper booklets or the sample paper booklets or other textbooks that will really help you by giving you authentic and reliable materials. Now, number 3, the third thing that you should do is you must recognize the importance of paraphrasing. And paraphrasing means to write something in your own words. Now, you're probably aware that that's an important part of Writing Task 1, and you do have to paraphrase the question or the title of the graph when you are writing your piece of writing. So it's important for you to practice how to paraphrase. Now, there is a video on that. We made a video, and that's on the Operation IELTS YouTube page. That's about 5 or 10 minutes long, I think. So if you want to go over there and have a look at that, it goes into it in a little bit more detail. But even if you don't, make sure that you remember that paraphrasing is very significant. Practice it at home as often as you can to be ready for the Writing Task 1. Number 4 says be careful with vocabulary. Lots of my students say, haha, it's time for me to shine when I get in the exam. I'm going to show every single word I've ever learnt, even if I don't really understand the meaning of it. That's really dangerous, a very dangerous strategy, because we want to show off. We've done lots of studying. We want to use lots of vocabulary to show the examiner that we have a broad or a wide lexical resource. but it's not a good idea unless you really understand, you really comprehend the meaning of the word. Now, I would never say don't use complex vocabulary. No, you should if you can, but don't go above your level, as it were. Don't go in too deep in the swimming pool, because it will be very clear to the examiner that maybe you don't understand exactly what that word means. So do learn lots of vocabulary, but really learn it. Make sure you understand how to use it. Make sure you understand synonyms of it, and make sure you also research possible collocations that will make sure that your use of those words is accurate. So be careful, that's important. And number 5 says, learn how to use cohesive devices. You will be marked on the cohesion of your piece of writing. And that means, does it make sense? And is it connected appropriately? So you're looking to use cohesive devices. Sometimes they're known as linkers. So it could be therefore, in addition, furthermore. So words like this add cohesion to your piece of writing and will raise the band score up. So what you should do is now, if you're about to prepare for the writing task 1, go through these points. Make sure that you've done all of them. Get as much information, as much vocabulary as you can. Practice your paraphrasing. Have a look at some authentic resources with graphs and tables so that you can analyze where the most important information is. Learn how to use cohesive devices, and make sure you check the band descriptors, because that will give you a big advantage when you go into the exam. Cool. Okay, so thanks for your time. I hope that there will be lots more questions coming in soon. I'm sure there will be. There's already lots on there. So if you do have a question, send it through, and when I get the time, I'm definitely going to answer it and try to help you get to your band score. Thank you for your time, ladies and gents. Continue with your studies. Best of luck, and I hope to be with you virtually again soon. Take care.